Hi everyone, this is Deborah. I want to share this episode that I recorded with Tanea Smith a few years ago for a couple of reasons. One, in honor of Black History Month, and I want to highlight some Black entrepreneurs and creatives that I've had the pleasure to have conversations with over the years. And also because I think that our conversation covers a lot of things, including COVID, which is really making introduction at the time when we were talking, and about challenges with business, with family, and just life in general. So it's a conversation that I really enjoyed having with her, and I always enjoy when she's on the podcast. I'm hoping that she'll have a chance to come back again this year so that we can have another fun conversation. And just to let you know that I am going to be recording some new episodes, probably starting in a few weeks. Some things have come up over the past few months, and I really wasn't able to do more recording, as much recording as I would have liked. Just working on some other projects, which I'm happy about, including my writing and some writing classes I've been presenting. But, there's only so many hours in the day. So, I've had to make those other things a bit of a priority. But I'm hoping to be able to share some more about those topics, particularly about creativity and things I think would be of interest to creative entrepreneurs in particular. And also bringing some other entrepreneurs onto the show who have reached out and, been in conversation with, who would like to come on and, share what they're up to and what's going on. And I would think that'd be great. So for the most part, I will probably be doing this show in seasons, you could say, and instead of just doing it straight through. I think that's the way it's going to work going forward. So the most important thing is that, you can continue to hear from all these different entrepreneurs who want to come on and have the conversations, and hopefully they will be conversations that you will enjoy and be inspired by. So for now, we're going to go on with this episode. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. When I started this podcast in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women business owners, creatives, and entrepreneurs. In each episode, my guests provide resources, valuable tips, and inspiration. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strength to achieve success on their own terms. Hi everyone, this is Deborah. I'm introducing this show because it's a little longer than my usual, but it's a great conversation between me and Tanea Smith, and she has been on the show a few times before talking about her company. She's got papers, and sharing a lot of her advice about how we can weather this current time with COVID and the economy, and how a lot of businesses have been affected, and all different things going on for a lot of us. So we had a really fun and very down-to-earth conversation. So also want to share that I hope that if you enjoyed the show, you please leave feedback and a review. 5 stars is great on Apple Podcasts. Just scroll down on your device. And welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio. I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. And when I started this show in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women-owned businesses and help women succeed by providing resources and valuable tips from other women and men, small business owners. In each interview, my guests speak openly about their triumphs, the scary times, and tough decisions they had to make along the way. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strengths to achieve success on their own terms. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. I am so glad you could join us today. So we're going to get started today with a returning guest. And Tanea Smith is a mom, a daughter, a sister, and a woman on a mission, the owner of Inspirational Stationery company. She's got papers. Tanea designs note cards that not only make you think, but make you feel, with themes that range from self-love, positive body image, and the importance of true sisterhood through the power of forgiveness and practicing self-care. Her latest collection, Until You Live It, is a case study in life 101. So welcome back to the show, Tanea.
Thank you, Deb. Thanks for having me.
I'm really glad to finally get together
yes,
again.
I know. Yeah. It's been crazy.
Yeah. That's probably the nicest thing we could say about this year, how it's really been. But, we were talking before we got started with the recording about how, particularly with the COVID, how that has forced a lot of people to pivot and make some changes in their business. And I understand that you have also done that. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about your business and different changes that you've made?
Yes. Thanks for having me. It's always a good time. So I've been looking forward to doing your show again, because we always have a good time. I was thinking all day, how did I want to approach this interview? Because it's such a strange time, and for some people, they are still doing well. Whether you have a corporate job or whether you have a business, you're still doing well. Then you have people whose businesses I know personally who have been completely decimated, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have people who are kind of like on the cusp and in the middle. For us, initially when I started the business, it was all many moons ago. It was all inspirational and empowerment. It was actually my grandmother, my late grandmother. She said, well, baby, you're going to have to do some real life cards. So what do you mean? Right. And she says, well, I need a sympathy card and I need a birthday card and I need, all these other things that I didn't make, because my position was always, if I was going to do this, I needed to do something that was different. And you can go to Hallmark or American Greetings and all over to your local drugstore and get a sympathy card if you need that. So when we had the conversation, I said, okay, Mommy, I'll do it for you. And so I did. I had one sympathy card still to this day. We have one sympathy card. Deb, when this thing hit, it was like a hurricane. It literally was like a hurricane. Like initially, you're just frozen. When my daughter, when they said, well, the schools are going to close, we were thinking she'll be home for the week.
Right.
No, she's been home for several weeks. Okay.
Right.
And, initially, I don't think any of us, nobody said this is going to be for months and months and months. And then my customers, I call them my pen pals, right? Mm-hmm. So many of these women have been with me since the beginning of She's Got Papers, knew me when I used to have tables at the fair, downtown Brooklyn. And then they're calling me and they're emailing me, for sympathy cards. And then all of a sudden, funerals like you have never seen before, right? Mm-hmm. So in the pivot, what I created was a collection of bereavement cards. Mm-hmm. So, people were like, well, I need something for people who have sent us food. They've sent us money. They've sent flowers. Now, remember, initially, you couldn't even have, everything was so backed up because no one was prepared for this onslaught, So we had bereavement, bereavement packages that we were doing. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound strange to people who are in business to make money, because that's the goal, right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't do it, Deb. I could not do it. Like, I could not, it was so draining and sad. I mean, sad, you know? So obviously the funeral homes and all of those people who are in the funeral business, that's a choice. That's what you do. It wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for me. And I was sitting with my mother and talking and just saying to her, I have to shift. I have to do something else. And it was like a voice out of nowhere that said, you have to do what you do, Tanea. You have to do what you do. You don't do bereavement packages. Honestly, I don't. It was not my lane. It was not. That's like me running out here and I'm selling exercise teas. It's not my lane. I drink Lipton, right? So I said, okay, no, truly. So I said, okay, I have to do what I do. And so I talked to my pen pals. I did a video, and in it, I'm telling them, I'm not consistent, Deb, okay? I'm not consistent. You don't get a consistent newsletter. You don't, because I feel this business. So if you got a newsletter, I have something to say to you. I'm not popping up every week to tell you how to write a note. First of all, if you're my pen pal, you know how to write a note. That's why you're with me. We connect on that. We have that energy. And so I did a video and we did a newsletter about an assorted box that we created, and it was the Keep the Faith box, right? And in it, we did 4 cards. There were 4 designs, and you got 12 pieces, so 3 of each card, that was saying what I felt my pen pals needed to hear. Hang in there, sis. You need to hear that. No, you need to hear that. Hang in there, sis. I got you. Joy cometh in the morning. You need to hear that. So we had to pivot, and there was a period of just standing still because nothing is moving. Nothing is moving. And so in those times, you kind of figure out, and that's what entrepreneurship is all about, right? You figure out, like, do I have it? I think I have it, but do I have what it takes to really stand with this and, and keep moving forward? Because this is unlike anything anyone has ever seen.
Yeah, and it certainly wasn't expected. Not to say anything like this is expected, but when I remember I first was hearing about this, thinking about, well, it seems like every year we hear about something else, and there was SARS, and there was the swine flu, or this flu, or that flu. So you're thinking this, Ebola, well, this will be like that, and somehow, it's going to be figured out, and it's not going to get to a horrible place. And to kind of see that after a while that wasn't going to happen, and then seeing the incompetent response from here in this country was really astounding. Then you're like, okay, now what are we doing? What is this? And how are we going to deal with this? So you keep waiting for someone to have some leadership that never comes. But I think what you're talking about with the bereavement cards and things like that is, in spite of how, I don't know, how it may be presented in the media, because I really don't watch news. I haven't watched news in years. So I hear you. I don't know what they say. But it just seems that when I'm online, I'm seeing people talking about people dying or have passed. Seeing the numbers and such, and knowing that this is all going on around us, and as has happened in other countries, like what happened in Italy before it really hit here, and just knowing that somehow we're just supposed to, on one hand, it seems like, well, how can we go on like nothing's happening? But then on the other hand, you have to go on.
You have to go on. You have to go on, and I think that is the greatest struggle, you know. So again, just in terms of my peers who are also entrepreneurs, you have to feel what I'm finding now more than ever. When you have a conversation with someone, you have to feel your way through that conversation more so than you ever did. I have a young I've mentored a few kids. It's been the blessing, the blessing. Their gift to me. They think that I'm giving them and advising them. No, they've been a gift to me. Because you realize all of these things that you've learned on your journey, you can pass it on, right? And sometimes other people's children take it embedded in your own kids. How about that? And so I have a young gentleman that I mentor, and he lives in LA. I called him. He's not good with text, a millennial that doesn't text. And we'll call each other. We'll just call each other out the blue and check in. And I called him, and I left him a message, and things were going on, you know, my mom had surgery. I was just really, really overwhelmed with stuff, but I realized probably a week or two had passed, and I said, oh, he didn't call me back. And so I called him again, and I left him a message. Nothing. I waited a day or two. Then I sent him a message. I had to get on Instagram. I can't tell you how I feel about these things. I'll tell you that offline. But I had to actually log into Instagram. And I'll tell you a little story about that. But, you know, these things are not my favorite. But I had to log into Instagram. And I sent him a message, and I said, where are you? Call me. And maybe an hour later, he called me. And I said, where have you been? And he said, oh, Miss Tanea, I'm sorry. You know, this was going on and that was going on. I said, yeah, because I was getting ready to call Miss Barbara. Miss Barbara is his mother. And he said, well, what number do you have? So I told him the number I had. Now, Miss Barbara had changed her number, but he gave me the right one. And he goes, you was going to call Miss Barbara? I said, I was going to call Miss Barbara. And what he explained to me was going on with him. I said, oh, you paused for a peace of mind. That's what that's called. Now more than ever, Deb, you have to pause in between. And the way I laid it out for him, I said, I know exactly what you're feeling because all of America is feeling it, right? So you could be up for a day or two. You're doing this. You're busy with that. That's going well. And then on day 3, you just start feeling yourself coming down. For whatever the reason. It could be a phone call. It could be something you see on TV. It could be I heard about 3 deaths. 3 deaths the last 2 days. 3 people that I know, right, who have had family members pass. And so you're constantly having to pause. And I told him, I said, listen, it ain't nothing wrong with that. But here's what I need. You need to send up a flare, okay? I know you don't text, but if I call you, you text me and you say, I'm on pause. I know what that means. Do you understand what I mean? I know what that means. And you have to know people well enough. Sometimes we don't. You can live with somebody 20 years and don't know them, Deb, right? But we have to be interested. My grandfather used to say, you got to be interesting and interested. Right? Interested and interesting. But be interested enough in other people to know when they're pausing or when something else is going on. My neighbor, I sit in my bed and listen for her door. I'm a real neighbor, by the way. I listen for her door. I didn't hear Liz come out the apartment. Okay, it's only 3 of us on this floor, and I live in a pre-war building, so my building is huge, but only 3 apartments per floor. I ain't heard Liz. I waited a day. I was going to reach out to Heather. Heather lives on the other side, but we're all friends. I said, no, I'm going to give it another day, and then nothing. I called her. I said, where you been? Her mother died.
Oh, wow.
Her mother died. She was out of town. She said, Tanea, thanks so much for checking. It happened. I had to get home, blah, blah, blah. but thanks so much. I said, yeah, next I was getting ready to go rap on your door, and then I was going to call Nick the Super. Yeah, if we had to bust in, that's what was going to happen. Here's the thing. Nobody knows what's going on with people. You don't know, right? And so what I've seen, particularly in my business, first of all, after I did that pivot, I started feeling better. Selling bereavement cards was not, it wasn't for us. It wasn't for us. And I said, okay, now you need to start talking and speaking life and energy into your work. My work has always been my refuge. You know, I look at these cards like my girlfriends because each one of them, no, people may say, oh, she's selling stationery. No, I'm selling life lessons over here, baby. That's what I'm selling. And so when you meet me, or if you see the paper, or someone sent you a card and someone sent you a card, that there's a connection there because you're seeing yourself, your mother, your aunt, your cousin in the experiences in these pieces, right? So once I shifted my mindset and said, oh no, I'm going to do what I do. Okay. Then things started shifting in my business. I have a pen pal. Her name is Sasha. I love Sasha down to the ground. Never met the lady. She was going through something. She started writing to me. Let me tell you how awesome it was. She started writing to me. I wrote back to her and she said, I love that you're so hands-on. How could I not be? Right? And I think when businesses get so big, they lose the charm. No, I'm hands-on. I know these ladies. They know me. Do you understand what I mean? To the extent of what I've shared with them, they know me. And whatever it is that we discuss, there's a comfortability there. She was having a surgery. She said, Tanea, all of my friends wrote cards, sent me cards all through my healing. And you would love how we formed, we already had a sisterhood, but how we used your cards and sent them back and forth to each other, how we all uplifted each other throughout this period. Now, two other ladies, there was a chain of 3 ladies that knew about She's Got Papers, bought my cards, and that's how Sasha and I got together. And then she put her mentor, Mrs. Daniels, onto me. Do you understand what I mean? So as you're pivoting your business throughout the pandemic, you can't lose the core. You can't lose the core. It's like, okay, well, we used to do this, but now we're going to go completely left. No, you can't. You can't, because to me, it's not going to resonate the same. It's not going to resonate the same. You can't deviate too far away from the recipe that works. I cannot ever do anything other than stationery. It's my calling.
So there wouldn't be any need for you to try to look for something completely different than that.
No. And when I say completely different, I have a new Deb. God bless my daughter. She's so sweet and she's so kind because she's a teenager now. She's 13. She turned 13 in the pandemic. But I could go in her room and lay across her bed, right? So, and we talk. And so she's sitting at her desk and I'm in her bookcase. And I said, oh, Jay, and we're getting rid of things and whatever. And I said, Jay, can I look at your coloring book? So she said, of course. My daughter's into fashion. And maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know if you remember this, but coloring books were huge. 2015, 16 coloring books, there was an explosion. And my mother's into all things. So she had bought Jay a Vogue coloring book. So I said, now she's 13. So I said, you're going to need crayons? Crayons around here, right? Because, she's into other things, right? So she had crayons. So we're just talking and I'm just sitting and I'm coloring in this book. And I'm like, okay, this is nice. That's nice. And, I like the designs and I like that they had, it told you a little bit about the history, right, of the garment or the piece, whatever. So I'm sitting and I'm thinking, I want to do a coloring book. So I called Allison, a woman who works with me, and I said, Allison, I have an idea. I said, I think it's going to sound crazy to you. She said, what is it? So I tell her what the idea is, and I said, but Allison, is it possible? Like, could we break things down? And she was like, of course. She said, send me one piece. I'll break it down, and I'll send it back to you. You tell me what you think. Mm-hmm. So she sends it back to me, and I'm thinking, I like it, but a lot of the coloring books, and I started doing research, and a lot of the coloring books that I saw, they were like animals and, you know, flowers. And I said, well, no, because that's already out there, and I don't need to add another orangutan. You understand what I'm saying? No, really. You have enough zebras. You don't need mine. Right? So, no, listen, shout out to the zebras. So I'm saying to myself, how can I make this, what can I do here? I said to myself, you know, how can I make this special? How can it speak to my pen pals? Because they know me for cards, right? So you know me for stationery, but they also know me for messages. So what could the messaging be that's going to resonate with them? Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting with this, and I give myself 24, 36 hours. If I'm going to do something, I have to just sit and start writing it out, right? And it's sort of like what I do in my journaling practice. If I'm mad, Deb, I got to sit down and write that down. I got to get it out, right? So, right. And that's really how everything starts. I'll start with words. So my first thing was, okay, if we did a coloring book, which pieces would I use, right? What would make sense? How could I put this together? So then I said, okay, well, I don't want to just do images. I need to do something else. So there are coloring books out there. I said, okay, bingo, I'm going to do a coloring journal, okay? Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to do it, I need to break it down. So there are pieces for every phase of your life. Mm-hmm. Throughout She's Got Paper. So I said, oh, okay, I know what I'm going to do. We're going to have seasons. So what I created was the She's Got Papers coloring journal, right? And I called it A Woman's Journey Through Life, Love, and Lessons Learned. And then I broke it down in 4 seasons. So season 1 is the Genesis. Season 2 is Finding and Loving Myself. Season 3, Valleys and Rainbows. And season 4 is Full of Gratitude. So it literally takes a woman in pictures and words, okay, through every season of their life. Deb, it ain't 'cause I created it. It's fabulous. Deb, as the kids say, I'm not even going to hold you. It's fabulous. But what it really is, as I'm sitting and I'm writing it down, okay, I'm writing it out. I'm doing the format. I know all the pieces that I want to put in it. And it's really, you put your bestsellers in there. You put the ones that have made the most impact. You also put in the ones that didn't necessarily work as a card, right? But the message is still strong. The first page I love. I designed these saddle shoes. When my daughter was born, I actually had a kids collection initially. And then I realized women was really my suit. But so I used the kids' design for the first page. So the first page is literally the Genesis, right? Mm-hmm. So it gives you a place to say, it says, I came into the world on, and you write your birthday there. And then it says, my mommy said I looked, and you say who your mother said you look like, who your father said you look like. And then it asks for your childhood nickname. Right? Mm-hmm. So it literally goes from, you know, what your nickname was, what you wanted to be when you grew up. And then the second phase goes into middle school. My daughter's in middle school, right? Mm-hmm. So it talks about just discovering who you are. Let me tell you something. Middle school almost took me out. Middle. Not high school. Not high school, Deb. Middle school. Because when my daughter was going to middle school, I started preparing myself, and I kept saying, you know, to my friends, to my mother, to my sister, you know, middle school is where they make the curve. it's a curve. They make the turn. It's really important because you don't know who you are, right? Mm-hmm. You're developing, physically, emotionally. Yeah, middle school was really pivotal for me. Mm-hmm. So I knew that I wanted the midsection of the book to be all about self-esteem. I have a piece that it's called Self-Discovery, right? Mm-hmm. And it's this piece is from my last collection, Until You Live It, and it's a platter of fortune cookies. And then the middle on the actual card, all of the fortune cookies are the same color except for the one in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. And the quote on the card said, "Ain't nobody like you, so do you." Deb, that's everything.
Mm.
That's everything. That's everything, whether you 12 or you 50. Ain't nobody like you. So do you. I have had this conversation with my daughter countless times because it is very self-discovery, self-reflection. I do a lot of reflection in my journal exercises and things like that. It is very, very difficult to break down that phase of your life. And even as a grown woman, you're constantly changing and evolving. Always. And so as I'm sitting and I'm writing, okay, what are the journal pages going to look like? The first 3, it's school days, it's what you wanted to be when you grew up. Once you get to self-discovery, that's where the actual real journaling part starts. Mm-hmm. So, like for self-discovery, the description, we said, I said, the way I move throughout this world, my self-awareness now approaching its peak. I'm learning to understand that the beauty within is the very thing that makes me unique. Mm-hmm. And then your journaling prompt is, I have a gift for, because you need to know what's special about you. What's your thing? Mm-hmm. What is your thing? And if you think about it, Deb, we know what our thing is really, really young.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Really,
really early. You have a gift, an aptitude for something, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can recognize that in yourself, or your parent recognizes it in you, and then you can develop it from there, Deb, you can't lose. You can't lose, but you got to get to know who you are on the inside. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's one of my favorite ones. The other one, on body positivity, right? Mm-hmm. And it's my girl. She's one of my best bestsellers. She was, I think, from the first collection, this woman standing in the mirror. And the wording in the mirror is, "You are beautiful," but she's actually standing on a scale. Right? Mm-hmm. And so we say in the journal, mirror, mirror on the wall, there are things I've loved and shunned. I've done the work, oh, so much work. Now look how far I've come. Inch by inch, it was not a cinch. I had to look real deep. I love you more than you'll ever know, for you are mine to keep. Mm. And then, so your journaling prompt is, when I look into the mirror, I see. I have to tell you, there are 24 designs in this book. I'm sitting and I'm writing these descriptions and I'm like, okay, well, I like this. Well, wait a minute. I need to put something. I need an adjective right here. Deb, it dawned on me. I was channeling my inner Jay-Z. I was rhyming. Oh my gosh. Deb. Every word is every page is a poem. I was like, Tanea, stop it now. Listen. It's like, listen. But what it really was a real creative outlet for me, right? Mm-hmm. And trying to figure out what is it that I could offer the pen pals that they would enjoy doing. Deb, we have to relax. We have to relax. Saturday, do you journal?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay, so not enough? I'll tell you, Saturday, especially when I had a full-time job, right? Saturday was the only day I could really decompress. I'm up early. I'm up 5 in the morning, 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm up. Even if I don't move, I'm woke,
Really?
right? So yeah, I'm up really early and I'm in bed early, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Saturday was my journaling day. And my kids, they're fantastic. I mean, my son's grown now, but my daughter, she grew up with it. So they knew, I'm getting my coffee, taking my shower, getting my coffee. I'm writing in my book probably from 7 to 9:30, 10 o'clock. If somebody pissed me off, 11. Do you understand what I mean? Listen, you will want me to write it down and come knock on your door. And so, no, but to be frank, Saturday was always my day. Now, particularly with everything that's, been going on in my personal life and with my mother, I'll leave my office and I'll go sit in my living room Wednesday, 3:00. And I'm like, I got to get this out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I have to release this. And it's so, even now, I think more than ever, people are finding their thing. If it's prayer, meditation, if it's Reiki, people are doing whatever they need to do just to hold on to their sanity, whatever that might be, And so as I was saying to my mentee, you had to pause for your peace of mind. You had to pause for your peace of mind, and I think it's also too about self-awareness, knowing you have to pause, right? Not saying to yourself, we did a relaunch. We switched platforms and we're on Shopify. Shout out to Shopify because I love it, right? And I like to do everything that I can do, right? So my assistant, who's fabulous, shout out to Brittany, she did a lot of things for me. Brittany, Jasmine, these women work with me and they're really good. I like to be hands-on and I like to arrange things a certain way, and you really should know how to do everything. So these were 8-9 hour days. I would be in here. Oh, we need to move this here. Oh, I don't like this, whatever. But I did about 4 days of that. On day 5, my mother called me. She said, Poppy, what you doing? I said, Muffin. I had to take a time out. Listen, yeah, she calls me Pop, so I call her Muffin. I said, Muffin. Muff. Listen, Muffin. It caught up with me. She goes, yeah, I knew it would. Oh gosh, Deb, you gotta know, your body will be like, you gonna lay down or no? How are you gonna do this? You know what I mean? How are we gonna do this? You gonna lay down or I'm gonna lay you down? How is this gonna go? So it is, but that's anything. That's having to, my sister is working. Okay. I mean, she's still at work, not going into the office, obviously, but nothing has actually slowed down for her. She's, VP and business partner. She works for a nonprofit, but just managing her team. I have to check on her. I have to call her, Nez, you okay over there? I have to check on her. So you're finding feast or famine. You're finding people stuck in the middle, not knowing which way this is going to go. Then you have the election and the insanity I know for a fact is going to ensue around election day. It is a lot.
Yeah, it is very overwhelming. And I think to some degree, a lot of people, they're doing what they can to cope, and whatever that is. It isn't normal. There's a lot of things hitting at the same time. I think a lot of it is people just trying to hold on at this point.
Right. It's true. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, people have lost businesses or had their business just take a terrible hit. And still trying to figure out what they could do about it. And some businesses, like travel and things, it's
right.
You're like, well, what can be done for that.
Right. I know. It's true.
So, yeah, it's a lot.
Last year, it is last year when they said, well, we're going to send the kids are going to do homeschooling or whatever, virtual. We were ready. And, my daughter was set up with her laptop and all that stuff. And then when school came back in September, around August, they were trying to figure out what they were going to do. Are you going to do blended learning? My mother got me on the phone. She said, listen, I don't care what nobody says. She ain't going nowhere. Mm. Deb, I'm scared to death to send my daughter to school. Yeah. I mean, and last year, it's interesting because my daughter's in a new school. So last year, that class would have been the first graduating class. And I was feeling so bad for those kids because they cannot get that milestone back, Right. And I also thought about all the other things. School is more than going to school and getting your lessons. It's a whole lot more to school than that, right? Mm-hmm. So you think about the kids. The mother is a single mother. If she has 2 kids or 3 kids or even one child is a lot to feed if you ain't got it, okay? Mm-hmm. So think about it. At least I know if you go to school, you will have breakfast and you will have lunch. And then dinner is on me, right? Mm-hmm. So think about children in those situations. Think about children who they're catching hell at home because so many other things are going on. Initially, my mother, we were talking, my sister, my nieces are in school as well. They're all 12, 13, 15. And we were just talking about how each girl is being affected, because you also have to think about their emotions, their mental, they're not seeing their friends, mm-hmm. And my sister, my daughter said to me, she says, well, I'm okay with it. I said, I know, but here's the thing. Because she always kind of felt like, the girls are immature and, regular middle school angst. I said, listen to me, sweet pea. You need to go to school, even to see the girl you don't like. Here's the thing. That's where you learn conflict resolution. That's where you separate the wheat from the chaff. There's a lot of things. Really, that's where you get to, see the boy, he don't like you, but you like him, or whatever the case may be. So there's been so many things that have shifted. And how are those things going to go back? What is that going to look like? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I was feeling so bad for the first class from last year. Now it's her turn. Now my daughter's in the 8th grade. I told my sister she might be graduating from the kitchen. Seriously.
Well, yeah.
Dad, I might have to be putting her cap and gown on right near my stove. Like, this is what it is. Oh. Listen, and we do your prom in the foyer. Like, this is what it is. She's going to get me. She doesn't like that. But it's true. Listen. And then you step out your gown and good night. So it is not funny, but it is so true. I'm so curious to see, right? Because if you think about the fact that it takes 4 years, literally 4 years or more, to really test a vaccine, to see it. Listen, they can't give me nothing right now, Deb, not even a pill. They can't give me nothing right now, Deb. It ain't ready. It ain't ready, Deb. You can't give me nothing. I'm sorry. You can't. You can't. So when you look at it in its totality, that there's not a single part of our lives that have not been affected. Not a single part. Mm-hmm. Not a single part. I made an appointment to get my mammogram done. The lady was like, well, we got February. I said, girl, let me call somebody. Feb? I need that now. No, do you understand what I mean? But I had to say, Tanea, wait a minute. For months and months and months, nothing was moving. Right. So they had all of those backed up appointments where people could not get in to get their health care. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you think about the essential workers, the doctors, the nurses, and I'm being very serious now, I take my hat off to those people, Deb. Like, really, what they went through in the beginning, and are still going through, right? But in the beginning of this, you are going to work every day to care for people, and you just might catch something that could kill you, and you could take home to your family?
Yeah, that's a lot.
No. And just having been on this journey with my mother, you know, they are the real heroes. They are the real heroes, you know, and so I think it's about every day. You know, I have a planner. I use the Whitney English, and I love it. And at the bottom of it, it has a gratitude section. I fill out the gratitude section in the morning, you know, because I opened up my eye so I can actually write in this book. So thank you for opening up my eye. I'm serious. Deb, I do. And here's why. Because if you sit down and look at the totality of things, right, and get a phone call, that humbles you in the most extraordinary of ways. Because you think that this happened and that happened, it didn't go the way you wanted, you don't know why, and you got a question until Bernadine called you and you say, well, hell, wait, it ain't that bad. Do you understand what I mean? You start to shift, you know, you start to look at things. You know, I tell my kids, my son and my daughter, everything is about perspective. If you can stop and look at this from someone else's vantage point, we might be able to talk about it, right? So I think that this pandemic has done a lot. It has made people stop and seriously, truly count their blessings, okay? It has made you understand life in ways that you probably would not have. I was talking to someone before you and I got on this call, and she just lost her mom, and she said, Tanea, the next time you see your mother, touch her face, touch her face. She said, that's the last thing I did. She said, when my mother transitioned, she looked so beautiful. I didn't even want them to put the sheet over her face. I just touched her face. The smallest, the tiniest of things that you look at it in a totally different way. The things that used to really, really piss me off, I just take a beat now. I take a beat because really, is it worth my peace and my time? You know, I'm a chameleon. I write notes and I curse, but is it worth me saying a bad word when I can just say, okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Is that going to really make or break me on the back end? Not really. Not really. Or as my father would say, you know, let them think they got away with something. Because what I'm doing right now in my space, in my life, in my person, that's what's important to me. That's what's important to me. So I would say, and I talk about, like I said, I put out a newsletter, or if we do a video, which video is not my natural medium, and the pen pals always say to me, when you going to do another one? I don't like it, Deb. I'm a conversationalist. Like what we're doing, this is what I do. So if I'm going to come in and say something, one, it needs to make sense. Two, it needs to make an impact. Period. I have a piece in the collection. It's called Sending You Some Love. It's one of our best-selling cards to date. It's a mailbox. And the inside, it says, you're on my mind and my heart just wanted you to know. That's it, Deb. That's it. You're on my mind. That is it.
And that's important, and that is very powerful as well, because if people aren't really able to get in touch with each other physically, or they're afraid, they're concerned.
They're confined. They're confined. Yes.
Yeah. It's something a lot of people are definitely not used to, not prepared for.
Right.
And there's that whole toll that's being taken on people in general. I think that, you know, I don't think enough attention is being paid to, personally. And maybe,
me too.
You know, maybe, media or whatever doesn't want to, because that will call attention to certain shortcomings.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No,
Of,
it's true. It's true.
of people that they seem to not call out.
Right.
So it takes a psychological toll, emotional toll, all of these things that I think, I don't know, maybe in this culture, because people just don't want to talk about certain things that
Right.
you should talk about.
That's right.
Particularly like death and transitions and things and even change, I mean, a lot of what's going on is because a bunch of people don't want to change at all. They're stuck and they want to stay stuck. And there's all these things that have come up that really need to be looked at and talked about at some point.
Right.
In my opinion, because individual people are going through it.
Yeah. Individual people are going through it. There's not a person alive that's not going through something.
Right. That's true.
Not a person alive. Down to children. Down to children. You think about it. If your mom, small babies, you can't go to school, your mother can't go to work, like every single person has been touched in some way. So I think the way forward is just grace and understanding. That's it. Because you don't know. You have no idea. You have no idea. And I'm so proud of you that you don't watch the news. Because I'm telling you, within the first 3 minutes, 10 stabbings overnight, 2 shootings, 3 heart attacks. It's like, wait a minute. Wait, you didn't even take the first commercial, like, honestly. So if you're thinking about all of these things that you've just seen, right? So visual assault, you're thinking about all these things that you've just seen. You can't unhear it. I read a story about 2 women who attacked someone because they asked them to wear a face mask and stabbed the man 27 times. I said, I'm not reading this is my reading for the day.
Right. You don't
27
need to
times.
Anymore.
But just think about that. Just think about that. Like when the George Floyd murder happened, right? Because that was a murder. The video was played on a loop. This man has a family, a daughter. Like, you're playing this on a loop. It's crazy, Deb. It's crazy. It's crazy. You don't want to be in the Stone Age. You must always know what is going on around you, but it's just too much. Right. It's too much, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. There's only so much that people can really take in.
And so
healthy.
Exactly. So it's for me and almost everyone that I've talked to, it's just about what is going to be your self-care practice and how are you going to practice it religiously. I've been journaling since I was 11, so that is my go-to, to the point where now they have names. That's my new thing. I'm like, you going to be Gloria. I kid you not. I have over 70 journals, right? I have over 70 journals. I blame my sister because she bought me my first one when I was 11. But really, I'm like, you going to be Gloria. Right? And so, no, but it's really about sitting with yourself, having a safe space to just say it. Just say it. Right, wrong, indifferent. Just say it. And so, and if journaling is not your thing, find your thing. Find your thing. Because the only way we're going to get, out of this is through it. We have to keep walking through it. My mentor, Ponzella Johnson, she said, keep looking up. Keep looking up. The last, I would say, 2 years, with my mother, I've just been constantly reminding myself, Tanea, look for the rainbow. Look for the rainbow, Tanea, look for the rainbow. I said to my father, there's a lot of rainbows here. She has a great family. She has a great team. my mother's, she's good. Like, she's good. She's really good in that way. There's so many things on her side. Look for the rainbow, Tanea. Look for the rainbow. My friends, my mentors, my family who are my friends, their prayers, their support. Look for the rainbows, Tanea. Do you know how many people are walking through life with no one? With no one. No one to say, I'll stand with you. I'll stand with you. I will be with you. You can call me. I have a friend. We're still friends. We'll be friends till we die. She would call me on the phone and just say, hello. That's it, Deb. That's it. She wouldn't say, how's everything? How's your mother? How's your family? You okay? You want a sandwich? She would just say hello. And then whatever I wanted to talk about, or if I wanted to talk, then we would go. But she would call my phone and say hello once a week. And so just say hello. Just say hello. I can't tell you how many times I'll go to the supermarket or I'll go shopping. I'm in Dwayne Reed. I'm in a dead serious conversation with somebody I ain't never seen in my life and will probably never see again. People have to say it. They have to get it out. They got to get it off their chest, and then they got to go on about their business. And I respect that. I do. I respect that. So I would say whatever, for me, it is the papers. These are my friends. These are my girls up in here. We get in here, we chill, and I always want to know, if you're a new pen pal, how did you find out about us? And why did you choose that one? And who are you going to send it to? It is a true sisterhood. It's a true sisterhood. I have something now called the Paper Love Club, because I realized it's been over a decade and I haven't given them anything back, right? So now they have paper points. And we're going to do, with my coloring journal, we're going to do coffee and coloring, right? And that's going to be fabulous because we're going to tell life stories around these pieces and why they resonate with us. You gotta find your thing. You gotta find your thing, because within yourself and within your thing, you have something to give. You understand what I mean? And you have something to give that no one else is giving.
Right.
No one else is giving, right? That doesn't mean that there are not other cards on the market. Let me tell you what I love. There's a new woman, and I have to log on to Instagram. I only do it by computer. That's another story. But I have to log on. I don't have it on my phone. Deb, I hate these things. Deb, call me on the phone. Call me. You have my number. Call me. Email me. I will answer you. I'm serious. I find the whole thing bizarre. But anyway, but I saw we have a new lady who's following, but she's a stationery company. I have to reach out and say hello. I have to reach out and say hello. If you need any resources or whatever, I don't know where she is. I don't know. If you need any resources, let me know. I'll be a resource for you. No one is doing your thing, Debbie. No one is doing your thing. You are doing your thing, and you are doing your thing the way it's never been done before, right? So give it freely. Give it. Give it, because it wasn't given to you to hold on to. It ain't yours. It's not yours, right? So when I say to Allison, can we do a coloring book? She was like, of course. I was like, well, what would it, send me something. Let me see what it would look like. No, truly, once I saw what it would look like, I said, well, wait a minute. Then I did my research. I saw this lady on the Business Insider. There was a whole piece about this woman who had done these coloring books, and she had been really successful with it. And I said, okay, let us see what we can do and how we can make this work, And so I always want to be super personal. When we get a new pen pal, I want to invite you into the family. And so I write them letters, right? And so the coloring journal has a letter in it. I won't read the whole thing, but what it does say is I encourage you to relax, enjoy yourself, and create something as beautiful as you are. No matter how many commas, question marks, or semicolons there have been in your life, your story is still being written up until the very last period. It's your time. Love, Tanea. It's your time, Debbie. Even in the pandemic, it's your time. It's your time to get right with yourself, to get right with your God, to get right with your family, if you like them. Listen, don't you trigger me. No, but honestly, to get right, no, truly, it is your time. Every day you wake up, Debbie, it's your time. It's your time. I live by that. I live by that. You know? And so, strange though it may seem, you can take all of these lemons and make yourself a big pitcher of lemonade. You can. You just have to believe in your strength to be able to do so. You know, and that's what has been sustaining me. I'm going to be so honest with you. I pray every day. I thank God for the minutia. Okay, the minutia. Okay. Yesterday, I thought I had a mouse in my apartment. I said, now he think we got enough food up in the piece that he can come by. Honestly, the minutia, I was like, he think I'm having company in the joint. He heard I cooked now. Okay? Deb, the minutia. Okay, I haven't seen him, so I'm suspecting he moved on. The point is, every day I'm grateful. Every day I'm grateful. You know, so that's what it's been about.
Well, I think that everything you're saying, of course, I completely agree with. And I think that a lot of people are going to have to see about having some kind of a practice, even if they feel they're not spiritual, whatever it is that they believe or don't believe. But even if it's a thing of walking, if it's some kind of exercise, it's some kind of meditation, is it writing in a journal, quiet time before you start interacting with people, if that's possible. But there's going to have to be something that people do to try to heal from a lot of what has gone on, because it's going to require a healing of some kind, and I don't think there's any way around that. It really isn't, because there's just too much going on. Too much has been exposed. Some people who think that, are shocked because they didn't know this all existed.
Exactly.
Underneath the surface, but it's always been there. But there has to be some kind of reckoning, some kind of healing, and not some real temporary band-aid.
For sure.
It has to be something that people within themselves are ready to make some attempt at doing, because if they don't, they're not going to be able to move forward in any healthy way at all. It's just not going to be possible.
Right.
With all the things that have been piled on. I think also just looking around at some people's behavior, that's kind of example to you of people who don't have any social practice of any kind within themselves, no self-awareness.
None. No self-awareness, no remorse, no regard for the damage that you have done. Honestly, for real.
Nothing.
For real. Yeah.
So that whole might makes right bullshit has to be looked at and examined and dealt with.
Yeah.
Because too many people have used that as a reason to do things. People, and it's got to be looked at, and people have to take responsibility if they just
and accountability. That's right.
Say better. Because you can't sweep all this under the rug again and pretend it didn't happen. And I think to some extent, what I was saying about, business, of course, we're kind of touching on that because a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly, women, since that's what we talk about here, have had a lot of impacts. You're saying with family and those with children, or those who may be in businesses that have been hit badly or just,
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah. Right.
that's gone on. It's like,
Mhm.
it just feels like at this point it's time really for people to start looking at things differently, start looking at how they can make these changes and pay attention maybe
Right.
to what they're feeling about
Right.
it and different paths they're being led on now that maybe they weren't
Yep.
before, didn't listen to before, ways that
That's
they can
right.
be of help or of service, like you're saying, because I'm seeing, I'm seeing these commercials and things about, oh, do your Christmas shopping. I'm like, are you guys looking around to see what's happening right now? It's
I
like,
know. I
this is not
know.
business as usual. And I'm not saying people shouldn't make money or shouldn't be looking at that if you have a business, but there's a way to handle that, to acknowledge what people are going
Mhm.
through and acknowledge that this isn't normal, whatever people have
Right.
known as normal. So we
Right.
can't just throw it out there like we did the year before that, year before, as though nothing's
Mhm.
happening.
Right.
Because that's a
Right.
lie. And
Yeah.
that's why I will side eye the media and all these, I guess, corporations, because they seem, to me, it's kind of tone deaf, personally, is
Mhm.
my feeling. But I think the individual business owner, the person who does believe in what they're doing or want to do or trying to
Right.
do in spite of
Mhm.
everything, can see some ways now to really come to terms with what they want to put into the world and what that really means. And like you're saying,
You know, things will never be the same, Deb.
no,
Things will never be the same. So it is about how you're going. First of all, what is the new normal? What is it for real? Right?
that's true.
We don't know.
Mm-mm.
And so once there's a determination of that, once you see, as my granddaddy would say, what we got to work with, how are you going to work with it? No, honestly, how are you going to work with it? You know, that's the real question. That's the real question. What is the new normal? What is the real deal here? And how can I position myself to be able to walk with this? But I'm just thinking about Manhattan. I worked in Manhattan for many years. The restaurants who depended on that traffic in the morning, you got your breakfast crowd and you got your lunchtime. They're never coming back.
Right.
They're never coming back, Deb. They're not. They're not. People who I work with went through hell. I'll just say that. I'll say that. The people who are with me, my printers, and these people have been with me since the beginning. I consider them my family. A lot has happened, Deb. Like, a lot has happened where I was like, now we're not talking, client to business, we're just talking like person to person. Like, I'm feeling your weight. I'm not in a commercial lease, so I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is to be in a commercial lease for 30 years and then something, be in the same space for 30 years and then something like this. I don't know. So it's really also about being a good listener. Do I have to move paper? Yes, but it's not about that. I care about you. Are you going to be okay? Are you okay? Are you taking care of your health? You sounding like you might, Dad, people have been through some stuff out here.
Yeah.
And so you do, you have to, do businesses have to make money? Yes. The landlords and but you're dealing with people. Like, don't forget that they've had this long-term relationship with you. And yes, you have a mortgage on that property or whatever the case may be, but the way you're handling people, like, come on. Come on. So there was a lot that needed to happen at the top level, because you're trying to start at the bottom level and telling people they don't have to pay rent, they don't have to do this, they don't have to do that. But people at the top level also have obligations, right? So you're talking trickle down effects here. I have sat in this office and had some conversations with some people where I was like, I don't know if I would be able to handle that. When you have 30, 40 people you have to lay off. These people have families. They're they are your family because you've been with them for, they've been with you for 15, 20. Right. Deb, it's been insane. It has been insane, so it is. When you hear, because you're not going to not hear stories. If you're doing business with people, you start to develop a rapport. They get to understand what type of person you are, right? So you can talk about certain things, It always, everything weighs on you. Everything weighs on you. It's just how you carry it. It's just how you carry it. So for just me saying, if you want to talk, I'm here. Not that I don't have my own stuff going on, but if you want to talk, I'm here, right? And if you notice, sometimes when you have your own stuff going on, like I said, Bernadine give you a call and you start walking her off the ledge, right? Because she was getting ready to smack somebody in the floor, and then you say, Bern, come on. Now, we ain't got time to go downtown. Grab your head. Hold your head, Bern. I know they've been up in your apartment, but they live there. Do you understand what I mean? No, right. Truly, you can shift. You can shift. And that doesn't mean your own stuff is not still sitting there, but you can shift for a minute. Okay? You can talk her down. She could cool out. Okay? And then everybody live to see another day. But everyone has something going on. Yeah. Has something going on. I will say, and I've had a few people say, because when we go back to normal, and I'm thinking, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's not, Deb, it can't. I had a great conversation with my mentor, one of my mentors, Ponzi, and she said, and I said, I just don't understand this. And this was 2-3 months ago. I said, I just like this, I don't understand this. And she said, sweetie, nobody does. But whatever it is, God is allowing it. He has a purpose for this. And we might not know the purpose for this, Deb, for years. For years. You ever... Well, I have many conversations with myself. Wait a minute. I was going to say, you ever talk to yourself? It's my go-to. I does it, right? In the bathroom, I usually say, girl, whatever. So, but have you ever had a conversation with yourself, right? Something may have happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It came full circle in that moment. And you say to yourself, bingo, that's why that happened the way it happened. You would have never been able to see it then. You weren't there. You have to get there. And that's what I think is going to happen with this pandemic. The more we walk through it, certain things are going to become crystal clear. Certain things, not all is death. Like, you can never make sense of that. You think about all the people that died. Because we did not have the information. I mean, come on. Come on. So not that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, though, is more on a spiritual level. On a spiritual level. We're not going to know the reason behind this, Deb, for years. For years. When I think about myself, and thinking about how I was going to pivot and make this new area of my business, no. Death? No. I'm into life over here. I'm into life. I'm into getting it together. Okay? I'm into loving yourself. I'm not in, no. And really, Dad, it was going okay. Financial. I didn't like it at all, Deb. I didn't like it at all. At all. My Uncle Eddie and then people, because I'm hands-on, right? They want to tell me their story. She wanted to tell me all about Eddie. Eddie was in the war, but, she can't believe this took him out. Eddie used to love jazz. My grandfather loved jazz. So then I'm thinking about my grandfather. I'm thinking about Eddie. She's in tears. No. Right? So it's about sitting still and figuring out how long can I sit still, right? Because you still have to function. You still have to maintain, and then how can I make this curve? How can I make this curve? But going back to normal and never.
No.
Never. And another thing that Ponzi said, she said, but Tanea, why would you want to go back to that? What we have essentially done, Deb, is slowed all the way down. Down. Think about it. People were having dinner with their families. Okay? People were communicating probably a lot more than they wanted to. Wait a minute.
Well, that's true.
Wait a minute. No, my daughter did something yesterday. I said, you keep it up. You going to school. You gonna be out in the schoolyard, okay, with your coat on doing your math. Do it again. No, and my place is massive. We don't really have to see each other like that, but I told you about to pluck my real nerve. Now do it again. I'm sending you out there with a ski jacket on and a face mask. My mother was like, shut up. She's not going nowhere. Anyway. But really, truly, no. Families were together. I mean, think about it. Right? Just think about the typical executive. He stayed on the road. He was always traveling. The kids see their father now. They know that man. They didn't know Jimmy like that. Now they know him. Do you understand what I mean? Maybe a little bit too intense. But really, things slowed all the way down. Okay? So some good things have happened for people on a personal level, a physical level, a spiritual level. You ripping and running down the street and you're trying to do this and do that and you eating, this. Now you can focus on eating healthily. Things have happened that have been positive. Do you know? So it is. It's not about deluding yourself because some real bad stuff happened too. Okay? But again, where is that bright spot, that rainbow that you can focus on? Because the bad stuff is always going to be there. That's not going nowhere, right? Where's the rainbow?
That's true. Yeah.
Where's the rainbow?
That's a great point. It's not going to go anywhere. And also the idea that people have maybe in a way been forced to have to confront certain things about their people that they know or thought they knew, people they're with, who, maybe they spent more time with now and realize that's not who they should be with.
Exactly.
Realize certain choices they made weren't what they should have made, but they were able to more because they were staying busy and running around and not focused on the everyday. Because I think, in our culture, we kind of reward people who work night and day and never sit still. So,
for sure. For sure. I mean, New York, New York, the city that never sleeps. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love New York. I couldn't imagine ever living anywhere else. Even when I go on vacation, I'm like, it's been 3 days. Now, listen here, I got to get back to 40 seconds. I want a sandwich from Cat. You hear me? I want a sandwich from Cat. No, honestly. But New York, Midtown, it looks like a ghost town. Where are we? Wow. It looks like a Grand Central, which was my stomping ground. I think about that. All the newspaper guys. John, I had a coffee guy for 10 years. Where's John? Where's John? There's no traffic. Where's John? And I said I had to go into the city to see if I see him. Where's John? Just to give him something for, him and his family. Things have changed, period. But Grand Central Station, ghost town. It is, I don't even remember the last time I rode the train. Yeah. I don't even remember. The kids are going to get on. They're going to get to dancing. The lady's going to get scared in the corner. I'm clapping because I like it. Everybody gets $1. You understand? I don't care if it's 10 of y'all. You understand what I mean? You down on West 4th. You singing for your life. You need to be on The Voice. The man in the crowd is a talent manager. He might give you a hookup. That's New York. That's New York. No, we're missing the heartbeat. The heartbeat is not there. So all these things going to slowly come back into play? I think so, Deb, but never like before. I just don't think so. I don't either. You know?
Because things are changed. People have changed, whether they realize it or not. It can never go back to what it was after something like this. And that's all.
Right.
It's like what they say with the people working from home. I mean, I usually work from home because I'm like a tech writer, and I've been working from home since before the pandemic. But now, if people are working from home and they realize they don't like to go in the office because they're spending money and they don't have to get all dressed up every day and they don't have to commute every day, that's going to change the whole landscape of work.
For sure. I read a piece in the Times the other day. And there was a debate about whether or not they missed the commute, right? And some people were like, of course not. And other people were like, other people were like, I miss getting up, getting dressed, putting on actual clothes, walking to the subway, getting my coffee, everything about the way you do your business has been affected, has changed. I was talking with a guy yesterday that I do business with. He said I'm in my office 3 days a week. He lives in the city and he works in the city. He said, I'm in the office 3 days a week. He said, normally there's about 25 of us. He said, there's only 10 of us who actually come into the office, and then you take someone like my sister, she had people on her staff that was willing to fist fight to get to the office. They had to get out their house with those kids and their husbands. They were like, we have to get to the office. Okay? We don't care if we got to break in. We got to get to the office. And my sister's position was basically suit yourself if that's what you want to do. Do you understand what I mean? So it really, I think, depends on the person. For me, now don't forget I left corporate in 2016. There's one thing, and I'm a homebody, I'm a Cancer, so I could be up in here for 7 days. It's nothing. But, because I can exercise, I can do laundry, I have it. But there's one thing working from home because you want to. There's another thing where you can't go outside.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I kind of want the ice cream. But then if I get down to basking and y'all acting a fool with the delivery, now I'm super mad. Do you understand what I mean? It's one thing someone telling you can't, and it's another thing you exercise in that choice, right? So I think that's what really has affected people. Mentally, it's like when we first went into quarantine, it was like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? I hadn't seen my parents 3 months. 3 months face to face. And I would be going with my mother, to get her treatment. I couldn't go. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not seeing your family. Think about the people who were in the nursing homes. No one can come to see them. That's pure isolation, and then sadly, the people who passed away, they could not see their family. Deb, oh gosh. This thing is multi-layered. This is multi-layered.
Sure.
I was speaking with someone this evening, my first grade teacher. Shout out to Miss Gibbs. She said to me, there are going to be studies on the psychological effects that this pandemic has had. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I believe that.
Because aside from what we were saying, the positives that have happened, this has affected us tremendously in every way.
Yes.
In every way.
Without a doubt. And there's no harm in admitting that, especially people have gone through losses, people have had health issues because they have had this COVID and having lingering effects on their lives. And there's a lot of that since people are kind of still, I guess you could say confined, that we may not even be hearing everybody's stories yet or really seeing it. Yet until, at some point, hopefully there's some better plan in place. to deal with the situation, but it's affecting everybody. It's affecting people, as you said, in the front lines who have to try to be in these, medical, places and hospitals and deal with that. And it's people who work, in retailing who are, they're on the job and they're making deliveries and they're doing all these things and dealing with people. So out there who think a mask is a form of protest, as though they never heard of any damn germs in their life, but maybe they haven't, which makes you wonder about them, because I think some people are just learning about washing their hands, but I'm not going to get into that.
Now you're getting mean. Wait a minute.
You know what I'm saying? We still got to tell you to wash your hands. I don't know about you. I'm just going to say
I know.
I'm
it's
just
true.
Going to say it because, I believe in science and I believe in soap and water. So that's my stand on that one. But, there's going to be, and I think, I keep going back to, I think to some extent there's this desire to, quote unquote, get back to normal. But as you said, there is no normal to get back to.
No.
We can only go forward from here and just try to make a new start, or just a new way of looking at life, your life and the world around you, than to think you could just hit some reset button and it all goes away. That's not going to happen.
No, it's not. It's not.
And people may not want to hear that, but it's not. And taking it back to the business aspect, for a lot of people, that's definitely not good news, because they have been holding on, and some maybe can't really hold on any longer because they were hoping, that things would turn around to a certain degree, and maybe they're not able to recover, and that leads to other issues that are going to happen in their lives and everything. But, some people, the nature of their business and what they do, they may, have a better time kind of changing up what they do, or maybe being led down a different path, as I was saying, based on what you've experienced and how you're feeling and what you feel now, how you need to show up in the world. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's a lot, as you know. You definitely know. There's a lot to look at. There's a lot going on, a lot that people are going to be dealing with mentally and emotionally to try
for
to
a long time,
though. Oh, for sure.
For a long time. Yeah.
Sure.
For a long time.
And since it affects the world, there's nowhere you're going to go to run away from it.
It's like, listen, we're going to Montana, really?
You can't run away from it.
You can't.
Run away from having to deal with it at some point and digest it and figure out, okay, where do we go from here, or how do I go from here after these things I've been through or lost, or people I've lost, or anything, however it's affecting you. Everybody's going to have to try to do that, but certainly, as you were saying, reach out to people and just not forget to reach out if you can, or look if you
just say hello.
Yeah.
Just say hello. Like I really, it is the best way to check in. Hello.
Yeah. That's it.
That's
doesn't
it.
have to be anything
That's
elaborate.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes that's it.
Yeah.
That's the furthest that they want to go. And what it really is, I just wanted to hear your voice. I have a joke with the pen pals. And I say, well, if it's not on the Daily Face, my mother calls it the Daily Face. It reminds me of Days of Our Lives or something, right? Days of Our Lives. Yes. No, but not just the days of the day of my life, the days from start to finish, right? And I tell them, just because you saw a pose on Instagram or Facebook, that doesn't mean that she's okay. That doesn't mean that she's okay. That doesn't mean that no, really, honestly, and when I went to find my mentee on Instagram, he had a post on Instagram, but I hadn't heard from you. I need to hear from you. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I need to hear your voice. I was going to call Miss Barbara, for a fact. Except she had changed her number on me, so I would have gotten double mad. But I am sure, and she's older than me. She's like my mom's age. right?
Mm-hmm.
But or a little bit older than my mother, but I'm sure she would have appreciated me saying, where is he? Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to do that type of check-in.
Mm-hmm.
Liz, I haven't heard your door.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had death, my mom passed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can talk about that. The super is watering my plants and da-da-da-da-da. My friend might come by. If you hear the door, it's not me, it's her. Okay. Now we checking in. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you have to do, because really, neighbors, someone in my building, they had just moved in. I didn't know these people, but they had just moved in, and they had slipped all of these notices under everyone's door. So they slipped one under our door, and they were saying, we just got here, we live in apartment, whatever, but we're available. We all need to pull together during the pandemic. So we're available if you have anyone in your house who needs food shopping and who needs this. That's something out the 60s, Dad. Let me just be clear with it. Mm-hmm. That ain't no 2020 move. I said, where they from, Arkansas? Mm-hmm. It was not a Brooklyn, it was not, and not that communities in Brooklyn don't do that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for a building like mine where you have a lot of turnover because you have kids moving in here and roommates, and I guess the parents are paying the rent, and they're like, listen, this coin is too high. Let me get out of here. Or whatever the case may be, people don't stay. Right? You have some of us who are real staples. I've been here over a decade, right? To the point where when someone comes in, I dial up the super. Nick, coming or going? I see a moving truck outside. Because I do. I want to know what's shaking, But I needed to check on Liz, and my profound hope would be Liz would check on me if she don't hear me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Check on somebody. Say what's going on. She didn't have to tell me what happened, how it happened. I just want to know where you are. You okay? I haven't heard you. That's all. So I would like to think, and it's definitely been the consensus of, amongst my pen pals, they've been getting more and sending more thank you notes. I tell my customers, my clients, my pen pals, anybody that'll listen, the most important note you will ever write in your life is a thank you note. The most important note you will ever write, because especially now where I don't have much, but I can give you this or this. It could be monetary. It could be food. Okay. There's a church on the corner of my block. Yesterday, I think, was the day that the pantry was open. The line was wrapped up, looped up around the block, okay? I don't have much, but I can give you this. She can give her that. You're going to be seeing a whole lot more of that, Deb, okay? And why did it take a pandemic for civility to come back?
Well, yeah.
For civility to come back. It's like civility had to go out of vogue. We needed, honestly, like it went out of fashion. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that you'll see coming out of this. I don't have much, or maybe I have a lot, and I'm willing to give you this and her that. And sometimes, for some people, what will really make a difference? Hello. That's it. That's it. So I would say to your listeners, whoever's listening, just think about that. Just think about that. How could you show up? How could you show up? And it's not necessarily your physical, especially now with quarantine and people just trying to be careful, and your physical presence. Pick up the telephone. Okay? Pick up the telephone. Call somebody. Write somebody a letter. Write somebody. I have 4 nesting boxes in here. I can pull something. I call it the archives. I can pull something from the box. A letter my grandmother wrote me in 2002, and she got something in there to tell me. And I'm not kidding you. I am not kidding you. Do you understand what I mean? So we have all of these things that we have access to. We do. You got an older auntie in your family. Get that lady on tape. Get that wisdom. Get that wisdom. My mother just shared something with me yesterday that she said my grandfather used to say, I feel like I got all his sayings down pat. I said, you kidding, Muffin? I ain't never heard that one. And what he talked about, was expression, people having meaningful dialogue, right? And one of the things my grandfather used to say, let me see if I get this right. He said, we can sing together, but we can't talk together. Okay? Mm-hmm. Meaning you got to have your turn. I'm going to listen to understand. Wise woman taught me that. Don't listen to respond, Tanea. You listen to understand, right? So you go. You say your piece, and I'm going to listen to understand you, to take it in. And if, and only if, Deb, I have something important to say that can improve the conversation, move the conversation forward, I might just want you to bust out laughing. Then it's my turn, like that. Mm-hmm. Just like that. So, yes, it's hard times, it's strange times, it's bad times. But in the middle, somewhere along the way, Deb, we could have a good time, too. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes. Wow.
I'm going to eat my ice cream. I'm going to eat my ice cream now and get on the treadmill. I'm going to leave you with that.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Oh, my God. Well, Tanea, please share with everyone where they can find out more about you and your cards and stationery.
You can go to shesgotpapers.com. You can follow us on Instagram. And what else? We're on Facebook, right? Yeah, we're on Facebook. I'm saying right because, as I said, Deb, this is not my natural, this is not how I really like to communicate. But you can follow us on Instagram. You can go to the website. You can email me. I'll write you back. I really will. I would love to have you in our Paper Love Club, and you can find out information about that on the website. But please, if you don't do any of those things, reach out to somebody. Say hi. Say hello.
That's great advice. And I hope that people listening will take you up on that, because sometimes, as you're saying, people don't say how they're really feeling, and what we see online on social media is not always reflecting what someone's going through. They
Exactly.
up this image that's part of what they do, but it may not really be what they are going through and feeling and experiencing right now. So
absolutely.
Wonderful suggestions and everything, and this just as usual, fantastic conversation that I might have to cut in two since it's almost been 2 hours.
I know. Isn't that amazing? No, it's
not
crazy.
Really, because we usually do.
We do. We didn't cut up bad this time, though.
No,
we kept it light.
So, there would be double fun for the listeners. So,
yeah, it was fun. See. It was fun. I really appreciate you having me. I do.
Well, I'm so glad that you could be on and share your new collection and your inspiration and all the things like that. I really appreciate that so much, Tanea. So, like I said, I'm glad that we were able to connect, and hopefully we can do this again much sooner this time around.
Okay, for sure. Okay, for
I think it's been a while.
It has. I know. Thank you so much, Deb.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm to everyone. I know you learned a lot from everything that we've talked about, and make sure that you take Tanea up on her offers and suggestions, and definitely don't try to go through all these things alone, whether you have a business or not. It's tough. So see what you can do to reach out, and definitely reach out for help or assistance if you really need that. Don't hold back. So once again, it's been Women Entrepreneurs Radio with the host, Deborah Bailey. I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Bye.